Hi, I'm Ellie, and I'm here with.
Alex Milman.
So, what is the business you own, and what do you guys do here?
So my business is Versify Capital. We are a business financing brokerage and marketplace. So we help connect small, medium-sized, large-sized businesses with different financing products to fulfill their goals. So whether that's term loans, lines of credit, equipment financing, SBA loans, it really depends on what they're looking for. We would help them place their business with the best lender fit for their.
And what do you as a person do? So, what are your responsibilities?
My main responsibility is the marketing strategies and the tech development of the company. So overall workflows, client processes from A to Z, and of course client acquisition strategies. So getting inbound applicants, outreach, client retention, etc.
So, how did you first start out in this area of business? And then, when you were first starting out, what were some of the main things that you prioritized?
Okay. So I fell into this industry by accident. I started at the peak of, or not the peak of COVID, but as it was starting to come down once lockdown was over, I was doing school online through Zoom. And at the same time, I was delivering pizzas at a local pizza restaurant. Shout out La Villa,
Mhm.
Brooklyn. And my brother was doing this at the time, and he kept on trying to convince me, come in, you would do great, start, you have nothing to lose. I tried starting my own social media marketing agency at the time when I was delivering pizzas, but I didn't really know what I was doing. It was just really watching YouTube videos and thinking I knew what I was doing, but I did not at all. So I came in one week, saw the environment, I really liked it. For my 2 weeks in at the pizza shop, started working, and I honestly didn't really have any expectations. I just knew that the earning potential was high with the commissions because it was a sales role. So I just put my head down. I worked as hard as I could. I worked long hours. I was working probably 50, 60 hours a week when I was 19, 20. I started when I was 18, but 19, 20 years old. And I just kept on doing it. And then from there, I got better. I saw obviously my income start to increase, which motivated me to work harder. I started taking in from the top performers in the office. I tried to learn what they were doing and do it better. And yeah, that's just how I outperformed everybody.
And when you first started working, you were managing that with online school at the same time,
Yeah, yeah.
simultaneously. So, was there any issues or problems that you encountered with your time management, or was that something that was like a priority for you? Like, how did you navigate?
I balanced it pretty well actually. I at the start I did online. I fit all my classes into 2 days during the weekday, and I also took Sunday classes. So Tuesday and Thursday I was just in school all day long, but I was working from home because computer. And then Monday, Wednesday, Friday I was just in the office all day long, just learning, reaching out to clients, building a book of business, and just learning the industry inside and out. So my time, I was pretty balanced actually. Didn't really care about my social life. I didn't really. I had my priorities were to work as hard as I could, as hard as I can, outperform everybody in the company that I started working at, and yeah, and it worked out pretty well.
What do you think after it's been almost 5 years of you working here? What do you think is the biggest takeaway that you have from this sector of business that people may need to know before going into this?
It depends. If you start as a sales representative, just trying to provide businesses with different financing products, the most important thing is knowing every single industry that you're dealing with, construction workers, healthcare businesses, restaurants. You have to understand their pay cycle to truly understand what they need the capital for, what is the most favorable payment structure for them. You need to know your clientele as better than anybody else. And then, of course, you need to outwork your competition. The most important thing is your work ethic. And if you're not coming in early, staying late, and really just putting in more hours than everybody else, it's really hard to stand out. So if you're starting in the business financing space, whether you're a broker, whether you're a lender, whatever that may be, it's working harder than everybody, learning your target demographic better than everybody. It's also thinking outside the box. Can't expect to do the same thing that everybody in this industry is doing that has been doing it for decades, and obviously the conglomerate companies. You can't expect to do the same strategies that they're doing and be. But you need to have a different approach, especially when you're starting out small. Whether that's implementing AI, whether that's unique marketing strategies, networking with business professionals. That's the only way they stand out.
So what do you think was your biggest approach that set you apart from everyone else?
So when I was still a sales representative before starting my own company, I invested my own personal income into different outreach channels to these potential clients. So I was, as opposed, the company's primary outreach method was cold calling, texting, emailing here and there, but I invested into my own email outreach infrastructure. So I spent a couple of $1,000s of my own money, learned that outreach channel is to the best of my abilities, and went all in on it, and the results spoke for themselves. I was bringing in clients that, of course, stood out, and again, the results spoke for themselves. And not many
Mhm.
people were willing to take that risk or invest that time outside of the office, outside of standard office hours, to go above and beyond.
So that was like a personal choice that you had to make.
Yeah,
So there are a lot of kids nowadays that business and finance is like the hot topic. People want to go into that because they think it's sunshine and rainbows. They want to make money. So what advice would you have to kids my age, like mid to late teens, that are just starting out, trying to figure out their career and trying to be an entrepreneur
yeah.
just from what they see on social media?
First and foremost, I have a long way to go. I'm still pretty young myself, so I'm not in a position to give true wisdom of owning a business for decades and decades. So I'm always a student. Yeah, I'm still a student. I'm always going to be a student and trying to learn more and more. But it's definitely not sunshine and rainbows. It's 100% not sunshine and rainbows. Quick cash that you see online, people flexing their cars, watches, jewelry. It's all a facade. That's not how the real entrepreneurial journey is. You're working 24/7. It consumes everything you do all day long. You're thinking about it in the shower. You're thinking about it in your sleep. You're thinking about it at family dinner. You're thinking about it 24/7. There are always going to be some issues that come up out of nowhere. And it's all about resilience. You need to understand that it doesn't rain forever. If you are experiencing a downtrend in your business or a really tough period of time where things are just aren't going according to plan, you need to go through the difficulties and the failures to force you to grow and become the person that you want to be. Force the business to become what you want it to be. There are always going to be ebbs and flows. When it's easy, it feels nice. You don't have the anxiety underlying,
Yeah.
but the true results and the true growth comes when things aren't going according to plan. That's when it
Mhm.
forces you to grow, forces you to solve problems, and it forces you to achieve your goals. So I'd say a piece of advice that I've learned just from pattern recognition: when things aren't going according to plan and when things are, you feel like it's all falling apart, that's the most important time in an entrepreneurial journey. It's learning to enjoy it, learning to understand that it's not going to last forever, learning to understand that what is happening is for your benefit, and
Mhm.
it's gonna show once you push through that storm.
And have those lessons come to you through just this real life experience, or was there something else? Did you see any of that in school, maybe in college before that? Like, how did education play a part in what you've learned? Yeah.
Honestly, I definitely had an unorthodox learning experience or educational experience because I started college at the peak of, so from throughout the 4 years of being in school, it was all on Zoom. After 2 years, I had the opportunity to go back in person, but I was already so deep into learning a new industry, learning new skill sets, and learning, just experiencing a completely different environment than I was used to. So I decided to keep school online, focus on the work that I've been doing, and just go all in. Just be the best at what I was doing, make sure that I'm at the top and I'm always just putting in more effort than everybody else, which was good and bad because it's also very important to know which environment you're surrounding yourself with.
Hmm.
If your competition isn't as hungry and driven as you, it's very easy to plateau. You want to make sure that in the office that you're at, the company you're at, wherever you are, that you never want to be the smartest, you never want to be the richest, you never want to be the best. You want to be surrounded by people that are better than you so that you have the goalpost keeps moving. You always know how to
So you have like a
continuously
drive.
level up. Yeah. But I think the level of resilience that I've built, no, I'm not saying it's the best by any means, but the resilience that I've learned is just having faith. It's like control what you can. Like things go south, like just control what you can. Like you lose a big client, a marketing channel that isn't profitable anymore. Tech starts breaking out of nowhere in the middle of a work day. That's you start pulling your hairs out, but it'll all work out. Like everything's fine. Just go one at a time, control what you can, fix what you can, and it's all just gonna slowly brick after brick. It's like a business is like a big Lego. You know, every day you come in, got another brick, and then after a few years, you built like a whole city. It's crazy.
Good
It is a
analogy.
good analogy.
So, thank you for taking the time out of your day to answer. One of the biggest takeaways that I've had from all of this is that the path you set out is not always the one that you will end up at,
100%.
and it will be for the better.
100%.
Definitely the resilience piece that you were saying, that obstacles may arise, but the strongest people will persevere and it'll actually be for the better again. That will make your success even greater. And even the education piece, there's a lot of controversy nowadays, like whether going to school is a big indicator, but it just proves that necessary schooling, you obviously need to be there, but after that, you can make something out of that without necessarily having formal education.
Yeah, exactly. To build on those points, we'll start with the educational part. If you want to go into a specialized career path, doctor, lawyer, engineer, some trade, absolutely, you definitely need to pursue a formal education. But the most important thing for anybody that wants to start some type of business or really just increase your income, it doesn't start with trading your time to make more money. It starts with trading your time to learn new skills. You need to learn different skill sets that will add value to your life, which will turn into monetary value, turn into dollar bills. Sales, that's an absolute core skill of life. Every single conversation that you have, it's a sales transaction. You're either selling or you're being sold. Obviously, to an extent, a formal conversation, that's not really the case, but you always want to understand the frameworks of a standard sales conversation or sales interaction. Marketing, knowing how to bring interested buyers, interested leads into a product that they want to give their money for. That's also a foundational skill set. Leadership, learning how to lead people, learning how to educate others and teach them how to become valuable and teach them how to do things the correct way, a standard way of operating. So those standard skill sets are super, super important for your life. That will bring additional income.
This comes from real life experience. This comes from
Yes,
the work that
yes,
you
yes.
are
A
doing.
big thing if you have any interest in starting a certain industry in a certain company, it's working at that company. It's working at a competitor's company, learning how they operate, learning how all these different systems work with each other, and just really learning the process inside and out. That's the best way that you're going to learn these different skill sets. Secondly, resilience, by far the most important. There are a lot of people that start business that can't handle the stress, they can't handle the pressure, they can't handle the storm. They end up going under, they end up closing, they end up having shiny object syndrome and going elsewhere to a different industry. If you can weather the storm and outlast everybody else, you will be successful. That's what Alex Ramosi, one of my role models, for one of the biggest business influencers in the world, that's what he always says. It's outwork everybody, outlast everybody, and you will be successful. And you have to be a fox. You have to be agile. You have to change with the times, especially now with AI. You have to learn how to implement. You have to learn how to leverage it, leverage tools. So that's very important. And lastly, with your last takeaway that you mentioned, you do not end up on the path that you expect on. There's a saying where it's like the the fastest way to make God laugh is tell him your plan. So your plans will never go according to plan. It always works out in a different way than you expect. I would have never in my life expected to be where I am today, but I'm forever fortunate for it. I'm forever grateful for it. I love what I do. And yeah, and all the skill sets that I've developed over these last few years, I can take with me wherever, whenever. And I know that I'm always going to be improving these skill sets. I'm always a student. I'm always going to be learning and I'm always going to be improving.
Great. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.